I heard a brief interview with an interpreter of dreams this morning on the radio. She has been analyzing the strange coronavirus dreams people are having during the pandemic. I had two doozies this week and can remember the first one enough to write about it. The dream began at my mom's house. It is important to note that she lives in the last house on the right side of a dead-end road. The house directly across the street from her is on top of a hill that was once a wooded space. There are areas of what appears to be grass growing from ground that doesn't want to bring up anything but the trees that were originally there. Some trees that stood back when I was living there remain. These newly drafted soldiers defend the contained landscape from my memories of the natural woods I played in with other kids from the neighborhood. There is a rail fence around the property and what looks like an enclosed vegetable garden about halfway up the hill. There is a driveway shaped like an elongated U in front of Mom's house that leads down to the two-car garage on the left side. The grass this little lady loves to mow is in front, left, and behind her house. Beyond that, it is Mother Nature, and these woods look the same as they did in the early and mid-70s when I was playing Archaeologist, Planet of the Apes, Army, and Dog Pound. In my dream, the property directly across the street looked more like it did 20 years ago. Mom's house looked like it does now, and houses beyond these two focal points were impressionistic. The color of the dream was gray with a red-purple cast. We were experiencing very high winds, and although it was not raining, there was noise with a sound that fell between hammering rain and the soundtrack of a battle scene in a World War II movie. The overall volume made it difficult to hear anything inside or outside my head. In the beginning of my vision, I walked out of Mom's front door and stood in her driveway. There was a pack of coyotes running amok in her front lawn, and at the exact moment I questioned why they were there, I noticed Mom moving among them. She didn't appear afraid, and I was weighing up why she thought it was okay to be so close to wild animals with unclear intentions. Before I continue with my dream, I need to bring up a current reality. Mom periodically makes the following statement regarding the care my brother and I provide. Lindy, I just never want to be a burden for you and Tom. My signature reply is, Poofy, the only way you can ever be a burden is if you are not agreeable. Then I add with my customary jocularity, If I ask you to give me $10,000, don't do it. But if I ask you to jump in the shower so you can be ready to leave for a doctor's appointment in an hour, please agree and follow through. Now, back to my dream. I call out to Mom, and it is barely audible because of the violent din. So I stir frantic arm waving into the mix and begin moving against the airstream and towards her and the coyotes. I recall yelling, "Poofy, what are you doing? You need to come back into the house with me." As I walked closer to Mom, she stepped farther away. Then, in desperation, I screamed, "Poofy, you are not being agreeable." Then, my attention turns to what looked like a group of hipsters huddled together on the hill directly across the street. Remember, the landscape is in its former natural state, so this troop of trendy cats looked suspicious because they appeared to be trying to use the trees as camouflage. The next thing I knew, they had Mom, and we were all standing in her driveway. It was at this point that the dream shifted away from the coyote invasion to a kidnapping. The group's leader was a boyish man who looked like he belonged behind the counter of Bleecker Bob's, the iconic Greenwich Village record store that closed its doors in 2013 after the owner's landlord sold the building to a frozen yogurt chain. He quietly informed me they needed $1,000 and they were holding Mom hostage for collateral. Then he added that he felt guilty about the entire business because I was an only child and very close to Mom. Then my brother Tom appeared and stood for a second just inside Mom's front door to make the following correction. There are 2 children. Then Tom disappeared from my dream. The next thing I recall is driving to the ATM to withdraw cash and realizing the following 2 things. I didn't have contact information for the kidnappers, and I wasn't sure whether I was to meet them back at Mom's house or somewhere else. I was too embarrassed to go to the New York State Police and remembered that I knew an officer from Peekskill's Police Department from the gym where I was working before the COVID-19 shutdown. She had helped me resolve an embarrassing public parking conundrum during the aftermath of a fierce snowstorm without making me feel like a dope. I felt at ease talking to her about how I messed this whole hostage thing up by not getting the chief kidnapper's preferred mode of contact and where he wanted me to bring the ransom money. The officer and I had just finished our initial conversation when Dana came to bed and the noise woke me up. I told her I just had a weird dream that Poofy got kidnapped, and she responded by saying to try to think of something else so the dream doesn't continue. The dream never resumed, and therefore I don't know what happened after I went to the police. Throughout the dream, Mom never looked uneasy about the weather, afraid of the coyotes, or threatened by the Bohemian kidnappers. I was the one who felt like I was in the middle of a crime movie I am eligible to watch for free on Amazon Prime. Mom appreciates unusual people, and these kidnappers were just that. It would not surprise me at all if the dream ended with Mom inviting her polite abductors into her house for a meal, because Joyce Moretti Fisher would never let anyone go hungry.